he felt calm. The hand holding the cigarette was rock steady. His head felt clear, his senses sharp. This is it, he told himself. Either I'm going to die or something is going to happen right now. The special encrypted phone he was never without vibrated. In that single instant, Charles knew he wasn't going to die. He was sharply aware of the night around him, the rustling of the pines, the cough of a frog somewhere deep in the forest. For 1 second, he thought he could actually hear the clouds move overhead. His uncanny sixth sense told him there was a possum or a raccoon within spitting distance. The sudden glow of 2 yellow eyes confirmed his feeling. A maple tree to the left of him rustled impatiently in the early morning breeze. Off to the right, he could hear the creak of the cable car in its nest in the housing unit as the morning breeze kicked over into a light wind. Except for those rare times when he slept so deeply a building could have fallen on him and he wouldn't have waked, he had always been a poor sleeper, waking just the way he'd woken a little while ago. It had taken him a long time to get used to the mysterious moans and groans of the stationary cable car, as well as to all the other mountain noises. Dreading what he was going to hear on the special phone, but needing desperately to know who was on the other end, he flipped it open and brought it to his ear. He rather thought he said hello, but later on he simply couldn't remember. What he did remember was the brisk voice that said, "Sir Malcolm," by way of greeting. It was already mid-morning across the pond. For his special friend to call him at that hour had to mean something very serious was wrong somewhere, and somehow it affected either him or the sisters. Somehow Charles managed to find his voice. "Tell me straight off, Bess." He took a second to wonder why he was calling his friend Bess. Normally he called her Liz. Bess was reserved for times of crisis. "Don't blather on, I can take it, whatever it is." Charles's long years of friendship allowed him to speak with such familiarity to the most powerful person in all of England. "Very well. Please sit down, Sir Malcolm." "Bloody hell, Bess. Would you still tell me to sit down if I was in bed? Even the squirrels and birds aren't awake yet. I woke about an hour ago knowing something was wrong." Then Charles's voice changed. It grew softer, almost pleading when he said, "Just tell me and I'll deal with it." Charles listened, the color draining from his face. Now, he thought, I really am going to die. I really am. The voice nudged him for a response twice before he could make his tongue work. "I heard it all. Thank you for calling me. Yes, I will be ready." The special phone went back into his pocket. In a daze, Charles walked back to the main house on leaden feet to his bedroom, where he packed a bag in the dark. He looked down at Myra, who was still sleeping soundly. He wanted to touch her, wake her, to tell her. So many things. Things he didn't understand. Instead, he left the room as quietly as he'd entered it. Across the compound, Annie, on one of her nocturnal trips around the house she lived in, saw the lights go on in the main house. It wasn't all that unusual to see the main house lit up in the wee hours of the morning. Charles was a notorious non-sleeper, often working through the night, especially if they were on a mission. He was a master at those 10-minute power naps the media touted. But something prickled at the back of her neck, right between her shoulder blades. She always referred to the feeling as her own personal warning system. She didn't stop to think as she put on a robe and slippers and quietly left the house. She walked across the compound and up the steps to the main house. Quietly opening the door, Annie walked out to the kitchen, where Charles was sitting on a kitchen stool staring into space. To her mind's eye, he looked terrible. She poured coffee and sat down on the opposite stool. That was when she saw the bulging duffel bag. Annie's stomach muscles crunched into a knot. She didn't bother beating around the bush. "Where are you going, Charles? It's not even light out yet. Were you going to leave us a note or just disappear? Does Myra know you're leaving? Of course she doesn't, or she'd be here in the kitchen with us. You need to say something, Charles, and you need to say it now." I have to go away, Annie. I'm not sure when I'll be back. Or even if I will be back. I had some